Hi everyone, this is Vinodini, Assistant Professor, St. Josephs College of Arts and Science for Women. In this video, we are going to discuss about the topic origin and development of poetry. First, let us discuss about origin of poetry. Poetry is one of the earliest literary forms to have evolved. It has its origin in prehistoric times, when people made use of poetic language, singing to the accompaniment of musical instruments. And poetry existed in the oral form long before the invention of writing. Poetry is often closely related to musical traditions. The earliest poetry exists in the form of hymns and other types of songs such as chants. As such, poetry is often a verbal art. Many of the poems surviving from the ancient world are recorded prayers or stories about religious subject matter. But these poems have also include historical accounts, instructions for everyday activities, love songs and fiction. The ancient Sumerian poem Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the earliest poems in the existence. It is said to have been composed around 1800 BCE. The ancient Indian Vedas is the another example dating back to about 1700 to 1100 BCE. Next, definition of poetry. Poetry is defined as a type of literature or artistic writing that tries to appeal to the reader's emotion and imagination through a variety of different poetic techniques. The poet uses a combination of rhythm, word choice, sounds, rhymes, structure, and more. A poem is usually about a specific topic or theme. Some of the most common themes that poets write about are love, nature, friendship, family, animals, good with evil, growing up and aging, prejudice, war. Next, classification of poetry. Poetry can be broadly classified into two classes. One is subjective poetry and the another one is objective poetry. Subjective poetry. Subjective poetry can also be called personal poetry. The poet views the subject from within and gives expression to his innermost feelings and emotions. In subjective poetry, the focus is on the poet himself, and subjective poetry is a later product of civilization. The word lyrical is generally applied to subjective poetry. The subjective poetry is further subdivided into the lyric, the ode, the sonnet, the elegy. Next, objective poetry. Objective poetry is impersonal and can be called the poetry of representation or creation. Objective poetry is older than subjective. The subjective poetry may be subdivided into the narrative and the dramatic, the ballad. The ballad, the epic, the metrical romance, the idyll, and the dramatic monologue. And here I have posted some questions. You can try to find the answers. Thank you.